Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to MDL, the show where we talk to modern day legends. Today we're joined by Wells Fargo financial advisor Osama Albibi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. So first we're gonna start with your story. Just want to know like your childhood. Just focused on that.
Yeah, so I grew up in here in Panama City.
Yeah.
Attended public school through elementary school up to 5th grade, and then went to the Islamic school from 6th grade all the way through graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Attended Gulf Coast State College, got my AA degree,
Mm-hmm.
and moved to Gainesville, Florida, where I got my degree in microbiology, and came back thinking I was going to do medicine, and decided that medicine wasn't for me. Went back to the University of Florida, got a degree in finance.
So what was it that stopped you from going to medicine? Like,
You know, growing up, everybody in my family was almost a physician. Aunts, uncles, mom, dad.
Yeah.
So I kind of, throughout middle and high school, just kind of took it for granted. Like, yeah, I'm just going to be a doctor like everybody else.
Okay.
So
It's more like environmental factors. You're like, everyone else is there. I might as well.
Yeah, I didn't really have a passion for anything at that time. When you're growing up, I was just into sports and playing, and
Okay.
I wasn't 100% focused on school, even though, alhamdulillah, I got good grades. But,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until after I graduated from the University of Florida, started spending more time in the hospital,
Mhm.
working really hands-on with physicians in the hospital,
Mhm.
going to their offices and the clinics.
So you didn't do any shadowing before that?
I not really. I did some maybe in the summertime, but
Mhm.
it was more in the clinic setting.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't until afterwards that I spent more time in the hospital, and that's when I realized medicine is not
Yeah.
for me. I
Yeah.
love the information and the knowledge,
Mhm.
and actually my favorite course of all my classes I've taken is biochemistry. But the practice of medicine, I really did not enjoy it. I thought I
Mhm.
could help people in another way.
Yeah, makes sense. So, what kind of people did you need in your life that make you who you are right now? Like, who was it that pushed you, made you make sure like education is more important? Kind of shaped your life.
Yeah, I would say from early childhood, my competitive nature and wanting to be very successful and the best
Mhm.
at everything
Yeah.
honestly came from sports.
Yeah.
I was enrolled in a lot of sports when I was younger, and that competitiveness was always in me, always wanted to win, championship, be the best, and that carried on into my schooling. I wanted to always get all A's and always be the top in my class, and that's now carried on to my work. I want to be the best, financial advisor, out there. So I always set the bar realistically, but
Yeah.
high. And I put, I hold myself accountable,
Okay.
and I'm hard on myself.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what drives me. Everybody has different personalities. Some people need an extra little push,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
My personality was I'm really self-motivated and self-driven,
Yeah.
and I kind of pushed myself. And a lot of that, again, I would attribute to my competitiveness early on.
So competitiveness was the one that drove you to do what you wanted. Financial advising and wanted to first do a doctor because God, so does that anything to do with it? Like,
No, wanting to be a doctor really wasn't anything to do with competitiveness.
Okay.
It was just kind of an easy decision. Like,
Okay.
I didn't want to think about what am I going to be when I grow up?
Mhm.
What do I want to do? So it was just kind of the default.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, everyone's a doctor. All right, we'll go to med school. So it wasn't until I really started getting more hands-on and practicing that I
Okay.
realized, so sometimes better late than not.
Yeah.
So even though I don't regret anything, and the knowledge base that I got
Yeah.
from my microbiology and the chemistry and all those courses, but I could have made the decision maybe a little sooner.
Yeah.
But I think it made me a more well-rounded individual.
So you mentioned that you were first going to medicine and then you changed to financial advice because like everyone was in that field and everything. So what would people do to avoid that mistake of just following everybody? What kind of activities should he do to actually find himself?
I would say early on, maybe when you get into high school, when you're a freshman, sophomore, it's hard to know what you want to be unless some people have a passion about something
Yeah.
early on, and they know, like, okay, I want to be an astronaut or something, right? Like, and so that's, or I want to be an engineer and I want to develop this and that. So if you have that mindset and you have that focus earlier on, then I think you will avoid kind of what I went through, where I kind of took it for granted and I didn't really give myself the focus that I needed early on to this, you know, to know that.
So try
that
to
was the
think
path.
like what kind of personality you have. Like do you want to, are you, you know, making, do you want to change the world, inventing, or do you want to, you know, do medicine to help people, or like is that what you're talking about? Like,
Yeah, again, every individual is going to have a different passion,
yeah,
right? And you need to decide at some point, what is it you enjoy doing? And every job you're going to choose, everything has its stress in life, right? Because we're not in this life, this isn't Jannah. So there's always going to be stresses, there's always going to be issues, you know, whether it's health, wealth, family, whatever it is, right? And so you need to find, and people need to hone in on, what is it that they really enjoy and they can focus on it. And don't focus on just, well, this is going to make me the most money, or this is going to give me the most status. It really needs to be something that you enjoy.
So what kind of skills helped you become, you know, the financial advisor? Like communication skills? Was it, you know, your balance in life? Or was, you know, obviously competitiveness, you said, was a major part too?
All the above, all of that. The competitiveness, to be in the financial, you know, services industry, and as a financial advisor, you're dealing a lot with high net worth people. I mean, they have a lot of money, and you know, in the Quran, Surah Al-Kahf, al-malu wal-banuna zinatul hayat ad-dunya. I mean, so like, it's always wealth is before even children, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have a personality that you're going to deal with a lot of different people, and people, when it comes to their money, they hold it very, you know, very securely. So, right. So you have to have that empathy. You have to have that ability to multitask, to deal with stressful situations, right? Like we've seen in March, or the stock market was crashing, right? COVID came, and it was a lot of unexpected things. So there's a lot of anxiety. So you need to almost be like a behavioral coach to people. You need to say, look, we can't focus on the short term. We have goals for the next 10, 15 years. And we're not going to change our entire financial picture just because of COVID. We know COVID, we're going to have a vaccine, and we're going to get through this, inshallah. And so really just having a lot of that proactiveness. And so just telling clients that there's going to be ups and downs along the way. And so when it does happen, they'll say, okay, he did mention there may be something, and you're able to adjust based on that.
So clearly you said, so it sounds like there's a lot of planning to do with it. Like you have to think, you know, you said like there's long term, like, so how would you practice that? How do you practice, you know, I know a lot of people focus on like, you know, nowadays, like they focus on now and then, but how do you, you know, try to think of like future? Like how do you have like that type of mindset?
Yeah, so what we do, we basically develop a financial plan. And that financial plan can be adjusted on an annual basis every other year. But it's kind of the skeleton, the blueprint for their life, whether it comes to how they're running their business, how do they want to retire, what kind of lifestyle do they want to live, what about their children's education, and how do they want to plan for that. So a lot of that is put into the blueprint, and then we can always reference back to that. And then you have goals that you set, and you don't let short-term fluctuations in the market kind of change your path. Right? Because the worst thing you could do is panic in the middle of a panic. Right? So you need to be that calm. And that's basically how I help clients get through the tough times, because it's not always up all the time, and it's not always rosy. So you have to be able to weather those storms. And in doing so, you focus more. And I've had to train my clients, if you will, to get through that. You know, I've been in the industry for 15 years. You know, initially I didn't have that focus even myself. You know, like we had the financial crisis in '08, and you know, that was a good learning experience. But really, when you go through a few of these market turmoil and crashes, you kind of, they're never the same, but you learn, you get accustomed, and you know that if you have a long-term time horizon and you don't panic, stay the course, and if you have money, it's actually a good buying opportunity, right? Because when you go shopping for clothes, you want to shop when things are on sale. You don't want to shop when everything is at full price.
Yeah.
So I get people to be in that mindset. Like if it's crashing, it's actually good. Let's do some buying for some companies that we want to buy. We want to buy Apple or Google or what have you. So people get in that mindset. So, and it actually during the COVID crash in March, I had clients calling me, not panicking, asking me, what are we buying today? Right? And so that was very refreshing that, through all these years, now they've kind of gone accustomed to, okay, we're going to stick with our plan and our goal. And now that we see, the market crashing, we're going to be opportunistic. Yeah. And that's how you have to do it. You don't want to follow the herd where everybody's buying, you want to buy, and everyone's selling, you want to sell. That's not going to get you anywhere. And that's it with anything in life.
I remember there was like a quote about that, that there was I don't know why the name of the quote I'm seeing is out of my mind right now. But he said that when people are buying, you should be selling. And then when people are selling, you should be buying. Yeah,
there's a famous quote by Warren Buffett, who is one of the wealthiest individuals in the world. Yeah. And he says, you want to be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. So that gets to your point. So you want to be fearful when others are greedy. That means everyone's just buying and everything is going higher and higher and higher. You need to get a little bit worried when that's happening, and then do the opposite. When others are fearful and they're panicking and they're selling and they say the whole world's going to come to an end and we need to just sell, that's the time to be greedy. That's the time to be buying, right? So I don't know if that's what you're referencing.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing. Yeah. Okay. So what the communication skills you mentioned in the financial advising, how do you use that in your daily routine?
I mean, on a daily routine, I'm dealing with clients. All clients have unique and special situations, and I have to be able to communicate in a way and adjust my communication based on who I'm dealing with. Yeah. Right? So some clients, you really have to kind of walk them through, get them to where they need to be. Other clients, you need to listen to them more. Right? So communication isn't always a one-way street, right? So sometimes you just need to listen and hear, let them vent, let them tell you what's going on, and then you go. So you really have to have that ability to adapt in your communication, depending on who you're dealing with, because every individual is different. Everyone has they could be in the same profession, but their personality is different. So you have to be able to deal with multiple personalities at the same, at the same time.
So like, how would you advise people without hurting them using these set of skills?
Well, what do you mean by hurting them?
Like I'm
hurting their feelings, or
like hurting, like if you want to advise someone to do better, or like to do something without saying like, what you're saying is not,
Right. Well, I mean, again, you always want to be professional, and you let them talk, and then after a while, you learn from experience, and you learn every situation. Sometimes it repeats itself. Like you've seen another situation like this, over 15 years, you learn how to deal with certain situations, and in my industry, like they say, there's never a dull moment. There's always something going on. Yeah. And really being able to handle those personalities, and you just have to deal with them. Like you build a relationship. It's a relationship. It's a long-term game. A lot of these clients have been with me, 10, 15 years. So I know how to deal with them, right? Yeah. I mean, just like, for example, like with my children, I don't deal with my 3 kids all the same. I know they have different personalities, so I need to deal with them, based on their perspective, and that's how I do it with clients as well.
Interesting. So what would you say would be the characteristics of a good leader?
I mean, obviously you got to lead by example, and you want to always, if you're leading people, you don't always be criticizing them. You want to find a way to motivate them and find what gets that person motivated, and then you're going to have to be able to adapt. It depends who you're leading. But again, if you're leading a group, a team, or an office, I say a good leader will know how to adapt and deal with each individually differently, based on what their advantages and disadvantages and what their strengths and weaknesses are. And I think, but at the end of the day, leading by example. Put your money where your mouth is, as they say.
So tell me, how do you stay grounded? How do you keep your ego checked throughout all this success you've been having?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. You know, it comes back to Islam, really, and there's a greater purpose, in life, and success, you could say monetarily in terms of money or family. There's all kind of different success. Of course, at the end of the day, the best success is making it to Jannah and have the rida of Allah SWT. So for me, really just having that faith in God and knowing that we know this life isn't our final destination. So I try not to get too high and not too low, right? I mean, but we're human beings. So you have to really having that balance. I think helps to kind of not get too excited when things go good, but at the same time don't get into a state of depression and the end of the world if things don't go your way, because like I mentioned earlier, this is dunya. Meaning there's always going to be an issue, and I have to like remind myself when things are going too smoothly and too perfectly, I mean, at least in my eyes, I get a little scared because I said, no, this is not, something is going to happen. I need to pay less attention to this and that. And, and subhanAllah, Allah SWT has a way to bring us back in. Right. And so I think that's very important to having that religion and the balance there.
That's a really good point that, when everything's going right, something's got to go wrong. I want to ask you...
If not, it would be Jannah, right? It would be in paradise, and we know this isn't paradise.
I also want to ask about how you balance your work and your family. Like what are like some specific thoughts you go, like activities you might do?
So basically, the way I structure it, you can either write it down or you can have it mentally. I got to hit certain things each day. My work, my family, spiritual, physical. Every day that I have to have some part of that, right? And so, with work, obviously, it's easy to get motivated. You got to go to work, and the market's always got my adrenaline going, and I'm rushing. Spiritual, I mean, aside from the 5 daily prayers and that, I always keep Allah SWT in my mind. I always start my morning by, I stay up. Once I pray Fajr, I'm up, and sometimes I get up a little earlier. I do some tahajjud. And then, I'm working, alhamdulillah, right now I'm memorizing the Quran, so that's really got my motivation, going. And so I get the spiritual side. Then I have work, and then usually I take a break just from all the stress of work and that, and I do a physical activity. And mostly I'm in the gym. I'm in the gym probably 5-6 days a week. And so keeping that balance. And then, of course, with the kids, I make it a point, when they're coming home, if they're home, we're spending time together, and, we'll go on a family walk, or we're going to do something together. So I try to just make sure I'm hitting all those. It's a little harder on the weekdays because, Amma Bashir keeps them pretty busy with all the activities. So sometimes they get home, pretty late. But on the weekend is really family time. And we try to go... Prior to COVID, we try to go on a lot of family vacations and do things together. And I think it's important to just have a balance with all of those. Right? So just remember, you got the physical, that's the workout. Mental and stress is work. The spiritual, Islam, whatever you're doing, dua, tadhkir or something, and then family life, And you could balance 25, 25, or whatever, but you have to have some mix of those, right? I mean, depending, each day is differently, but I make sure I'm hitting all those every day.
Very nice, mashallah. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to say whatever you would like, any advice you want to give to everyone, or
I mean, I would just say find something that you're passionate in and have a focus with what you want to do, even early on in life. And it's okay if what you initially thought you wanted to do, you decide you want to do something else. It's not the end of the world. Like I thought I was going to be a physician, and and then I changed, and it's okay. You need, but whatever you do, give it 110%. And if you're going to do something, finish it to the end, right? And it's okay if if you don't succeed, but give it your best. right? Do your part, and the rest is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, not everything we do and not everything I recommend for clients is going to work. And I tell them all the time, like, not everything I'm going to tell you is going to work perfectly.
Yeah.
Right? You know, but at the same time, you do your best, give it your best effort, do your due diligence, do your homework, find something that you're passionate in, and work hard at it, because everything needs work. But at the same time, don't find something that is stress-free, because there's no such thing. Don't look for that thing that's just going to be easy with no stress and nothing. There's no such thing. Find something that you enjoy doing and you can handle the stress, because life is stress. And just give it your all. That's all I can say, really. I mean, that's.
Well, thank you, Osama, for being with us.
Thank
it's
you
been
very
amazing. MashaAllah, very great advice.
Thank you very much.